My name is Fiona Morley and I'm Head of Digital Programmes and Information Systems at Maynooth University Library, and I'll be chairing this session. We have three excellent talks in this session, and I'd like to offer a warm welcome to our three speakers, and full details of our speakers can be found on the conference app. Each speaker will have 10 minutes to give their presentation, and we'll have time for joint questions at the end when they have finished, so I'd ask you to keep your questions until then. So speaking first, we have Christopher Hollister, Head of Scholarly Communication with the University at Buffalo Libraries. Christopher's talk is entitled Shifting the Scholarly Landscape, the Case Study of a Successful Independent Library Published Journal. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Christopher to take the floor.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I come a long way to say hi to you. Hi, everybody. Thank you. So I'm delighted to be here today. Thanks very much for the invitation. 10 minutes is going to go fast, and accordingly, so will I. As you just heard, my name is Chris Hollister from the University at Buffalo. For those who are unfamiliar with that institution, it's in the western part of New York State on the other side of the Atlantic. And this is a case study about an independent library-published journal and how it can serve as a model for what we can do to address systemic dysfunction in scholarly publishing. So briefly, I'll introduce the journal, describe the motivations behind its creation, share some of the nuts and bolts, present some of the results of this long-term experiment, and discuss the implications in terms of what we all have the opportunity to accomplish together. So I am co-founder and co-editor of the journal Communications and Information Literacy, henceforth CIL. CIL was developed under the umbrella of the University at Buffalo Libraries on the open source OJS platform. And for a variety of reasons, mainly practical in nature, the journal moved to Portland State University and its Digital Commons platform. Now, for those of you who, like me, have rather strong feelings about the owner of Digital Commons, you should know that our move to Portland State University preceded Elsevier's acquisition of B Press, and accordingly, our MOU is with Portland State, not with the other guys. CIL is independent, library published, peer-reviewed, and open access in the purest sense, no article processing charges. CIL publishes research, theory, and practice in the area of information literacy in higher education. The journal was launched in 2007, and it's presently in volume year number 16. Next issue is going to come out in about 2 weeks. And as you can see, the journal's reach and visibility is pretty well established in terms of both free web and commercial directories, indices, and archives. In 2006, I was part of a writing group comprised of tenure-track faculty who were all required to produce and publish research. Generally speaking, our experience with scholarly publishers at that time was less than satisfactory. These descriptors you see projected on the screen here were just some of the impressions you would have heard during our twice-monthly meetings. Also, in 2006, we understood, I'm going to use some strong language here, we understood that giant corporate publishers with what I like to qualify as exploitative and monopolistic business practices and huge profit margins were treating life-saving research as a private commodity to be sold at exorbitant prices. More practically, some here will remember that at this time the journal Research Strategies had just ceased publication, and though other journals were publishing research on information literacy at the time, none were held to that particular purview, so there was a need. So my co-founder, Stuart Brower, and I thought an alternative publishing solution was called for. One that leveraged the values and the strength of the information literacy community, and one that genuinely embraced open. Remember, this is 2006. Finally, we understood that the fundamental shift in scholarly communication to a fully digital landscape favored libraries in terms of their staking out a strategic role in the academy. Therefore, we chose library publishing as our path forward. Now, it's difficult to convey what a colossal undertaking this has been, and remains. CIL began as a two-person operation, ran that way for 8 years. Largely developed over pizza and beer, it involved nights and weekends. I cannot emphasize enough how critical it was to the journal's success that we devoted a full year of development before finally launching at the 2007 Willow Conference in Toronto. The community response to our launch was overwhelmingly enthusiastic, and we experienced growing pains for years. This has been a lot of work, my friends. I very conservatively estimate that I've personally devoted over 5,300 hours to this journal. I must strenuously emphasize, however, that this undertaking has been a remarkably professionally fulfilling experience. And I think the results speak for themselves. Today we have a dynamic editorial team, I would argue the strongest in our field. An enthusiastically supportive board, a widely representative pool of manuscript reviewers, and an expanding portfolio of journal sections. And I could speak really at length about our production numbers and our metrics, but you get the point, and we have just 10 minutes to work with. Very importantly, being independent and library published allows us the flexibility necessary to manage the journal as a values and community-based enterprise. Here you see just some of the policies and practices that we've developed and that we proudly abide by. Measures of success include a prestigious award from my country's Association of College and Research Libraries, and CIL's 2020 ranking in SCImago at number 29 among 255 journals in the library field. I should note, interestingly enough, that the 2021 rankings came out while I was traveling to your gorgeous country, and that our numbers have slipped. However, we will regain that ground with upcoming theme issues that we have planned. Now, clearly, I could talk about CIL all day, but I'll leave you with these takeaways. If we, in the international academic library community, want to contribute to fixing a broken system of scholarly communication, fill the myriad scholarly gaps, truly embrace all things open, and help scholars, this is what we do, to regain control of the literature in their fields from exploitative commercial publishers, then I put it to you that investing in library publishing is a smart path forward. I've done it. It can be done. Let's kick some ass. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.